Aloha and welcome to the Murph's Place 808 for the Love of Golf podcast. I'm your host, Murph. I hope everybody's had a good week out there this week. A lot of stuff going on in the world today. Had a great U.S. Open. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. I get asked a lot of times about, hey, Murph, how can I shave some strokes off my game when I'm out on the course? So we're going to talk about that today as our main topic. Playing smarter golf to lower your scores a little bit. I also got a hilarious story to tell you guys. And I'll save that for the end of the show, but I hope everybody's having a good week. Welcome to the podcast. If you're new, if you're a prior listener, welcome back. And let's get on with the show. So I get asked a lot of times, Murph, I need to shave some strokes off my game. What kind of stuff can I do to do that? So I tell them, well, I also try to find out from them, what's your main purpose or what's your main goal for playing golf? Are you just doing it for fun? Are you competitive? Are you trying to compete against other people? Because that'll make a difference as far as, whether you need to do this kind of stuff to get rid of those strokes. Because if you're not going to practice or work on your game, you're probably not going to get much better. But what I tell them, one of the biggest thing is course management. So you want to try to avoid the penalty shots. You want to keep it in play. Fairways, greens, and then you want to work on 2-putting every green. When you start 3-putting or you're hitting it in the water or hitting it in bunkers, you're not going to shave strokes off your game. That's going to add strokes. So try to keep the ball in play in the fairway and work on getting it on the green and regulation. So green and regulations, for those that don't know, is when you hit your tee shot and it's a par 4, your second shot, if you hit it on the green, that's considered a green and regulation. And then work on 2-putting so that you're going to make par. If you hit your fairway in regulation, hit your green in regulation, and 2-putt, you're going to have a par. That's going to shave strokes off your game. If you're hitting it short or left or right of the green, and you chip up and you 2-putt, that's not bad. That's still only a bogey. You want to try to avoid any double bogeys or 3-putts. Those things, if you can do that, you're going to shave strokes off your game. Also, when it comes to course management, you don't have to hit driver on every single hole. A lot of people, they have this in their mind, let's boom it down there a mile down the fairway. Or I'm just going to hit it as hard as I can, and wherever it ends up, I'll try to get up and down from there. Sometimes you don't need to do that. Sometimes all you got to do is hit a 3-wood or an iron off the tee if it's a shorter hole. Don't put yourself in bad predicaments where you're going to have problem reaching the green in 2. Take the higher percentage shot. Say you got a pin tucked on a green behind a bunker, and you're hitting your second shot into the green. You don't have to go at the pin, because if you don't hit it perfectly and say you hit it short, you're in the bunker. Just aim for the middle of the green and work on 2-putting to make your par. Those kinds of things are what's going to help you shave strokes off your game. You got to think in your head, risk reward. Is it worth the risk for me to try to hit this shot? And if I don't pull it off, then I'm going to be in some type of trouble, whether it be a bunker or water. And if it's not worth the risk, just go for the middle of the green and make par. And you're going to have to practice. You're not going to get better unless you put the time in. And I've said this on previous podcasts when I had somebody ask me a question about practicing. And that's where it falls back to whether or not you're doing this just for fun to hang out with the guys or girls drinking and playing golf, having a good time, or if you're trying to get better so that you can compete against friends or even in tournaments. You're not going to get better unless you put the time in. And the main part of your game that you want to work on, is the short game, chipping and putting. You want to spend 3 times as much time on chipping and putting than you do on hitting your driver or your irons, because that's where you're going to shave the strokes off your game. That's where you're going to get really good, so that if you go to hit that second shot and you miss the green, you're going to be able to chip it and get up and down and save par, or at worst bogey, if you've been practicing that. So work on your chipping and putting more than you do any other part of your game. Another thing is when you start putting, when you're on the practice putting green, work on your lag putting. Pick a spot 30 or 40 feet out and practice not trying to make that putt, but trying to get it as close to the hole as you can. That's going to cut down on a lot of your strokes. If you work on that lag putting so that you control the distance and how close you can get to the hole. Like I said, you're not trying to make it. You're not trying to put it in the hole. All you're trying to do is get it close to the hole so you can make that next putt. That's probably one of the biggest ones where people shave their strokes off their game is the putting and working on lag putting. Also, practice with a purpose. I mentioned this again in an earlier podcast, that don't just stand there and pound a bucket of balls one right after the other, all 7 irons or whatever. Work on playing the course on the driving range. Pick a flag out there or hit your driver, towards a flag down in the distance, and act like, okay, I've got 180 yards in. I'm going to have to hit an 8 iron, and then hit towards the flag that's about 150 yards away. And if you hit it like an imaginary green around that flag, if you hit it on the green, you're done. Say you hit it to the right of the green and that's not really on the green. Take your wedge and then hit towards one of the shorter ones, or chip it just off the driving range, like you're just off the green. Work on that. Practice on that so that you're not just standing there pounding ball after ball after ball mindlessly out into the range. That kind of practice is not gonna help you. It's going to help you if you're having problems striking the ball, hitting the center face. Obviously, you want to hit the center face of the club. And if you have problems doing that, then yeah, you're going to have to work on that too. But if you're working on shaving strokes off your game, work on that short game. That's the biggest. I can't stress that enough. Work on your short game, chipping and putting. Spend more time doing that than anything else. Another thing you need to work on is make sure you have a good pre-shot routine and stick to it. Do the same thing every time. The reason being, that's going to help you stay focused on what you're doing. Have a pre-shot routine and do it every single time. Don't have 100 swing thoughts in your head. Pick 1 or 2 at the most. I normally just pick 1. And usually mine, I always focus on tempo, that I want to have a nice smooth tempo. If you're thinking about a whole bunch of different things, you're not going to hit the ball very well. I mean, there's been times that I've got up to hit a shot, and instead of just hitting the shot, I'm thinking, okay, do this, do that, do this. And then I hit the shot and I hit it like garbage. Think of one swing thought and just get up and hit your ball. The best golf I've ever played has always been not thinking about golf. It's always just been getting up and hitting the ball and not thinking about anything. As far as physical stuff that you can do. What you should work on is exercising your core muscles, like your stomach and your lower back. Work on stretching too, because you want to be flexible. If you're building up your core muscles and you're working on your flexibility, you're probably going to get better control out of your driver and all your other shots, and it may add some length to it also, because you're strengthening those muscles. Make sure you're drinking, staying hydrated on the golf course. And no, that's not drinking beer all the time. Drink some water. Keep your body hydrated. Not only your body, but it'll also help you with your mind, keeping you focused. But work on a lot of flexibility and balance and strengthening exercises so that you can hit the ball and be in good enough shape so that you don't get like tired when you're on the course, or when you're hitting shots after 12 holes. All of a sudden you think your back is hurting or something like that. So work on that kind of stuff. Also, try to not think about the shot that you just hit. That shot is over with. You want to think about your next shot, what you're going to do. Focus on that instead of, shoot, I hit that last shot, or I missed that putt on the last hole. Don't think about that stuff. You got to think positive when you're playing golf. Also, like when you're going to tee off and you got water on the right-hand side, don't think about the water. A couple of my buddies will be playing and they'll say something like, "Oh, hey Murph, there's water on the right-hand side." And my answer to them is always, "What water?" If you think about it, if in your mind, if you're thinking, "Oh, don't hit it in the water, don't hit it in the water, don't hit it in the water," you're probably going to hit it in the water. Don't think negative thoughts. Think positive. I don't know how many times I've been playing with somebody and they'll verbally say it, not only think it, but they'll verbally say, "Oh, I'm not going to hit this very good." Well, you're probably not going to hit it very good because that's what you're thinking. You got to think positive. Even if you have to, just take a deep breath, try to relax before you hit the shot, instead of worrying about water or sand or, people behind you, like you're playing too slow or whatever. Don't think about that kind of stuff. Just focus on the shot and don't try to overthink it. Another way that you can lower some strokes off your game is when you're playing with somebody, don't try to play their game. Play your own game. And what I mean by that is, I'm playing with my buddy, and in my head, when I get up to the hole, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to hit a 3-wood off this tee. But we get up there and he pulls out a driver and goes up to hit a driver. So there's been times that I thought to myself, "Oh, he's hitting driver. Man, I better hit driver." So then I change and hit my driver. It doesn't always turn out bad, but that wasn't my game plan. And it changed because of what he did. Don't let somebody else influence how you're going to play a hole. You play it the way that you thought that you were going to play it. If you're going to hit 3-wood, hit 3-wood. It doesn't matter what they hit. If you're going to hit an iron, hit an iron. Doesn't matter what they hit. Now they'll probably give you some ribbing, "Oh, you're hitting an iron, you sissy," or whatever. But you can't try to do what they do if you have it in your mind that, hey, I'm going to hit a 3-wood, and then they hit driver. Don't worry about that. Just play your game. Remember, you're not, for the most part, playing them. You're playing against the golf course. Now, there are some cases where you might play match play or whatever like that. And, okay, sure. If you're playing match play, then you're going to be playing somebody. But for the most part, when you're out there playing, you're playing, the golf course. You're playing yourself. Some days you're going to play good. Some days you're going to play really good. Some days you're going to play bad or really bad. I mean, there's been times I shot 67 in a tournament to win. I was down 4 strokes, shot 67, and I end up winning by 5. And then, a month later, I'm playing another tournament, qualifier for the U.S. Senior Open qualifier. And I go out there, and on the very first tee, I hit 2 balls OB. And right then, mentally, I gave in. I was like, I'm done. There's no way I can win now. I'm going to take at least a 6 or 7 or 8 on this hole, and that puts me out of the tournament. These guys aren't going to, they're not going to play that bad. And I ended up shooting like a 99. And I was like, what? This game, that's why I'm saying that. And I said this earlier in another podcast. People think that you can beat this game. There's going to be days that you're going to play good, and there's going to be days that you're going to play bad. And you cannot let that get you down mentally and think that you're never going to play good. You will play good. If you put the time in and the effort, you will get better, and you will shave some strokes off your game. But don't get discouraged. It's not an easy game. You just can't, not everybody can just pick up a club and play and play well. And even the pros, I mean, you saw that with the U.S. Open. I mean, yeah, that's a tough course. And you had pros shooting 82, 83. So it happens to everybody, not just the common guy playing golf. It happens even to the best players in the world. You just got to think about what you did wrong. Here's another thing that you can do that help you with your practicing also is when I play around a golf on the scorecard. So I have my name, and then I put under my name, I put FIR, GIR, and putts. And then so when I play the hole and I mark my score down under FIR, that's fairways and regulation. If I hit the fairway, if my ball was in the fairway, I put a check, actually I just put a circle. If I miss to the right, I put an arrow to the right. If I miss to the left, I put an arrow to the left. The next slot, GIR, is greens and regulation. So if it's a par 4 and I hit on the green in 2, I put a check mark. And then the putts are how many putts it took for me to make it. And so I track I do this on every round of golf I play. And the reason I do it, and then I add them up at the end, but the reason I do it is I compare that, I look at that, and then I say, okay, I hit 10 fairways in regulation. I hit 12 greens in regulation. I had 28 putts. That helps me focus when I go to the range and I work on things, and I look at my fairways in regulation. Well, okay, I'm missing a lot to the right, so I'm doing something that I'm pushing the ball out to the right, or if it wasn't wind affected or anything like that. So then that's the kind of stuff when I go to the range, I work on. Okay, I'm hitting my driver to the right. I need to try to straighten that out. So that could be a bunch of different things. My grip's not right. My alignment is not right. My swing path is not right. So you gotta put the time in, and you gotta put the work in if you want to shave some strokes off your game and you want to get better. All right, I'll be right back after this short break. Okay, welcome back, everybody. All right, so hey guys, I gotta tell you, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you how. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Not only that, but Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other sites. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm Hopefully those tips will help you guys that need it. If you have any other questions or want me to go into detail about anything else, just shoot me an email. It's murphsplace808@gmail.com, or you can click on my site on Anchor and leave me a voice message there. If you want me to talk about anything else in detail and any of this stuff. Also, if there's any other topics you want me to cover, shoot me an email and let me know. Let's talk about the U.S. Open. Wow, man, what a tournament. That was crazy. Those greens, I don't know if you guys watched it, but those greens were, some of those putts those guys were hitting, it was unreal. The slope of those greens and the breaks that were in it. What's amazing is that only one guy shot under par today, which I shouldn't say that's amazing. Sunday at the U.S. Open, it's rare that guys shoot under par. It's not the way the USGA sets it up and the way the course was playing. It's not rare. Well, it is rare that somebody shoots under par. But DeChambeau, man, that guy, 3 under today. 3 under to win it by 6 strokes. He finished -6, and Matthew Wolff he shot 5 over today, and he shot even. So it was a good tournament, tough, like it was expected to be. Yeah, you had DeChambeau in first place, Wolff in second, and Oosthuizen, who I was talking to one of my buddies last night, and I thought that he had a chance to win it. And we had picked a few other guys to win, but didn't turn out good for us. Congrats to DeChambeau, that guy. It was funny. I was watching the other day. It was Saturday night. They were doing the live at the U.S. Open, and you had Justin Leonard, I think, was one of them. Chambly, I think's the other one. They were talking, they're talking about the golf and the stuff that was going on that day, and they kept cutting to the driving range because DeChambeau was out there hitting balls. And it was dark. It was nighttime. And he was out there still hitting balls, practicing. And that's probably why, because that just goes to show right there what I said about putting time in. If you want to get good, you want to get better, you got to put the time in. So he's out there, 3-4 hours after the golf was over, on the driving range hitting balls, when his caddy and his coach was probably like wanting to go to eat dinner or whatever. But he's out there working on his game because he wants to get better, and this is the result of it. He wins the tournament. He only wanted to shoot under par today and ends up winning the tournament. So it was a good tournament. What's weird is, the Masters is coming up in November. Well, obviously, they had to postpone it because of the pandemic, but it's so weird thinking about the Masters being played in November. It just doesn't seem right. And what's even weirder is I wonder if they're going to have the Masters at the regular time next year, which I think is April. That's going to be weird because whoever wins this Masters in November, they're only going to be Masters champ for like 5 months. They'll always have the green jacket, but they're only going to be the champ for like 5 months if they have it in April, which I'm assuming it'll go back to the regular time once this stuff gets cleared up. So good tournament. Looking forward to the Masters. A lot of people that I've talked to over the past year or so, they've all kind of been on Tiger's bandwagon or whatever. And I'm a Tiger fan. Don't get me wrong. They probably think the way I talk about him, not talk about him, but talk about them and their undying devotion to him. You would think I don't like Tiger. I like Tiger. Tiger is just not going to be the Tiger that he was before, and some of my buddies thinks, that he's going to be almost that same guy again, and I don't see it happening. I'm not some great seer. I don't know crap, but I just don't see it happening. So we have a little wager on whether or not he's going to break Jack's record for majors. I don't think it's going to happen. I definitely want, and I had another buddy want to bet me that he would win another tournament. And I'm like, yeah, well, I think he'll win another tournament. I just don't think it'll be breaking the major record. Anyhow, who you guys think is going to win the Masters? I mean, you can make a strong argument that DeChambeau might be the favorite going into it. But who do you guys think is going to win it? Shoot me an email and let me know, just for the fun of it. See who picks who to win it. I know that I'll tell you, I don't think he's going to win it, but I was really impressed by Victor Hovland's play. Now, he didn't play great. He was 5 over today, and he finished the tournament like at 7 over and like tied for 13th or something like that. But what I was impressed with was he made some clutch putts to save par. It's like only I think it's his first major or second major that he's ever played. And he just showed a lot of poise. I was really impressed by that. I'm not saying that he's going to win the Masters. He was able to compose himself and play and grind it out like he did for as long as he did. That was pretty cool. So we'll see. You never know. These guys, they're just so good. It's crazy. One of the guys, I want to say it was maybe Justin Leonard, asked something about, you think you could break 100 on that U.S. Open court if a 10 handicap could break 100 on that course? I would say no way. I mean, you got pros that were shooting 82 out there. I don't think a 10 handicap would break 100 on that course that they played, the way it was set up and from the tees they were playing. I just don't see it happening. But congrats to DeChambeau. Some people like him, some people don't. The guy's just crazy. He's got this scientific approach to the game. It works for him. Guy gained like 40 pounds this season. It's nuts. What also was cool about him, though, was that he's only the third player to win. He won the U.S. Amateur. He won the U.S. Open. And what was the other one that he won? There's only been 3 guys to do it. Tiger, Nicklaus, and DeChambeau now to win all 3. I can't remember the third one. I can't remember what the third one was, though. But that's pretty cool that he won all 3 of those. Yeah, so the guy's just amazing. He's an amazing golfer and one of the true guys that really puts in the time to be as good as he is. It's just amazing. Let's take a short break, and I'll be right back. This podcast is brought to you by Smart Boy Studios, the best studio and artist collective out of the state of Ohio. Smart Boy Studios provides recording, mixing, and mastering services, as well as any other audio post-production you need. Whether you're looking to put out a new single, put together an audio book for your bestseller, or make your podcast the best it can be, visit www.smartboystudios.com today. DeCasso, an artist on Smart Boy Entertainment, just dropped his new album, Suburban King, The Story of Westerly Drive. Available on all streaming platforms now. Physical copies are also available on the Smart Boy Studios website. The album features Grammy-nominated writer Troy Hayes, music from all Smart Boy Entertainment producers, and some of the best vocal talent from the Midwest. Suburban King tells the story of DeCasso's youth, moving from the inner city to a suburban neighborhood, and the trials and tribulations of adolescence, racism, and adapting to a new environment. Search DeCasso, that's DCASSO, on your favorite streaming platform or visit www.smartboystudios.com to check it out. If you'd like to support Smart Boy Studios and their artists, visit threads.smartboystudios.com to check out their merch. They have hoodies, hats, shirts, and more. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So I got to tell you guys this funny story. I'm not back to work yet at one of the golf courses I work at, but I've been going over and hanging out. And the other day I went over, we turned the water, we had a water leak, and we turned the water back on. And as we turned the water back on, we looked over at hole 8 and the sprinklers were on. So my boss was like, hey, run to the maintenance shed and grab the T-handle and go over and shut those sprinklers off. They must have forgot to turn them off. So I ran up to the maintenance shed, came back, and now, granted, my position at this golf course is I work in the office as an assistant to the director of golf. So I'm not a maintenance guy. But I figured I would be able to turn off a water, turn off the sprinklers. So I put the T handle down there and I start turning it. All of a sudden, the sprinklers are not going off, but all of a sudden, about a 6-inch round column of water shot straight up, hit me in the face, almost knocked me unconscious, knocked me backwards on the ground. And I laid on the ground like choking because I swallowed 2 gallons of water. The metal thing the plug came up out of the hole, hit me in the leg and cut my leg. So I'm laying on the ground, like trying to catch my breath. And then this water is just shooting up like a fountain, probably 20 feet in the air. So I jump in the cart, I run over there and I shut the main water off, get it shut off, and it's still shooting up for a little bit. And it finally calms down and goes back down. And I put the plug back in, the sprinkler head back in, and I tighten it down and shut it off. And yes, I was not aware. Well, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't aware. But instead of going righty-tighty to tighten it, I was going lefty-loosey and loosening where I screwed it all the way out of the plug. And that's why the water shot up and about drowned me. So, yeah, I was soaking wet, covered in dirt, covered in grass clippings. I drove up, went up to the clubhouse, and John took a picture of me and was like, "What happened?" And I told him, and he was like, "Really? It's righty tighty." I go, I wasn't even thinking. I thought I was just turning it, shutting it off. I wasn't even thinking. But yeah, I just about drowned. I told John, I was like, man, I wish somebody was videotaping that. That would have been a great viral video, because that had to have looked funny. And I did one of those, of course, like when you do something like that, you kind of look around and see if anybody's watching, because you were kind of embarrassed. And there's houses all along the road right over there, so somebody could have very easily been watching. But yeah, so I didn't drown, and we did get the water off, so everything's good. Well, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys all have a good week. If you have any questions, topics you want to discuss, or anything else, just shoot me an email. That's at murphplace808@gmail.com. murphplace808gmail@gmail.com. Or you can go to the Anchor site and leave me a message there. So I hope you guys have a great week, and hopefully we should be back to playing golf here on the island this week sometime, hopefully by Thursday. So I know a couple of my buddies got tee time set up, so I'm planning on playing Friday, and then I have a tournament on Saturday for the VGA. So hopefully you guys are hitting them straight, having fun, and we'll see you guys next week. Aloha.